And then
welcome everybody to this DRC meeting, November the 1st meeting. Part of, I guess, the role.
Yeah. So, Mr. Dickens.
Here.
Right, Mr. Workshop.
Here.
Mr. Judkin is taking a sabbatical, so that is our commission for tonight. Just to warn everyone that this meeting is being recorded. It will be posted to the county website. This is a public meeting, but not a public hearing. So the only people who are invited to speak are people presenting their projects tonight. And so if you have any questions, feel free to email them later to me or submit a comment for the HALRB meeting. You can find all that information online. If you have trouble in the meeting, feel free to call back by phone. Please join us phone call. And otherwise, we are starting with our first item for the evening. And I believe the applicants just joined us. Let me open their application first. So Mr. and Mrs. Displetion, apologies for murdering your name.
No problem. Let's do it.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. So this is an application for an EV charger at 233 Gilmore. The X is where the location will be. It is behind the front. And this is on a rise, so it's by the landscaping, and it is going to be in the Parched Foundation location. And again, this is the location of the charger, all the steps, and this is the Rivian charger. And I had one question for you: is it going to be powered from through the wall from the interior of the house?
Yes.
So, any questions about charger?
It might sit in there, but about how tall is the charger? Like 8 inches or more or less? Or?
It is 16.3 tall.
By 7 by 5.
16.3 by 7.3 by 8 in depth. Yep, it's all on street.
There's a set of stairs that sort of comes out sort of at a 90 off that porch there anyway.
I can't see it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't take any really exception to it. I mean, I think it's a kind of a good location. I think we've recommended approval of ones that are sort of similarly located previously. It's also going through a large wall, which I guess could always be repaired if they want to take it out as sort of a repairable sort of addition to or modification to the house. So that's I think on.
So we're good? Perfect. All right, so would you recommend it for the consent or discussion agenda? Perfect. Okay, do you agree? Great. All right, so we will be putting that on the consent agenda. So Mr. and Mrs. Displetion, that means that on November 1st, November 15th, today is the first, 14 days after today. This will be on the HALRB consent agenda. That is voted on at the beginning of the meeting en bloc with any other items that are on the consent agenda. And right after that, if everyone votes to approve, you would get your COA and then I can sign off on your electrical permit. And so staff will write a staff report that we are going to post on the HALRB website, and we will send you a link to that so you can read that in advance. So it'll be posted 1 week in advance. In addition to that, we will mail your neighbors, put a notice in the newspaper, and send a letter to the Civic Association and post placards around the neighborhood. So if you see those are for your project. But in the meantime, you are on the consent agenda, and I will send you more information about how to attend. You are not required to attend if you don't want to. Staff can represent you if you would like. If there are any comments from the community, it can be pulled from the consent agenda and onto the discussion agenda, and any commissioner can do that as well. But that promise, it doesn't happen too often. But I will let you know also in advance if we've received any comments. Do you have any questions?
Nope.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
So our next item, Mr. Andrews, would like to join us. So this is for lovely home at 2737 23rd Road, right? Yeah, I wrote the street by accident up there, sorry. And so you bought this home some years ago and put an addition on the rear, didn't you?
Modified.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
modified.
didn't really modify the footprint, but. But obviously. Made an exterior modification.
And even then, you applied for an amendment to that COA to replace these windows from vinyl to wood now.
Well, it was just one set at that point, and if you.
You have
Yeah,
two bays.
that was
It's the 4-window bay.
right here, these two,
Oh, okay. Oh, so you,
because we had the whole thing ripped up inside, and then I looked and looked at two final windows, putting in wood everywhere else. Replaced with wood. Should have known that we'd have this ripped up too. And that's.
oh, okay, that's very helpful. So you are applying to replace 13 windows?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this back when we had the previous project, that at some point they put vinyl windows in. Before that it became a historic district. And yeah, they're just they're all of the different and they're vinyl, and I thought it would look better if we went with wood all the way around. So we were kind of doing this project, and the grant possibility came up. So let's put this out there. And then I think this is the only part. I mean, I can walk through the rest of the project with you just to make sure, but I think this is the only part that requires HALRB approval. The porch is just getting.
And
Last
Lauren will
year.
give you-
Yeah.
Lauren will give you more information because this is one of the HALRB grant recipients, and so they have applied to do a few different elements, but yes,
Yeah.
I think the porch is just over. Very good.
Question.
Yeah.
You're gonna go with slated glass?
So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to increase the R value, obviously.
Right.
And let me tell you one other thing I'm doing and get your input on it. So the answer is yes. I think they've got different options. But this will be the clear glass. But in the attic, which I didn't think I had to submit, because we're basically restoring those tilt out windows. There's 10 of them. But in our last walkthrough, I'm talking with Vince, and he said, look, we're looking at them. 4 maybe 5 of them have the old quarter glass. You know,
Oh, yeah,
really-
the wavy, yeah.
It looks good. It sparkles on it. And so I think those two might be replaced glass. So similar, just flat glass. And he can source the old glass. It's the old glass. So while we're going to be redoing them anyway, he said, why not put the old glass in? So I hadn't really considered that for the windows, or as the new wood windows. Sure, they're stored ones. But I guess that's even possible. But yeah, we were hoping to use the R value.
We had quite a discussion a little while ago, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think we're basically within the historic district. Alexandria's started. They're approving insulated glass.
Okay.
Glass.
So they are Alexandria's.
And we wrote it into our.
Oh, you
like
did?
guidelines as
Okay,
well.
okay.
We want people to be comfortable in their homes, and obviously you can also get that level of insulation with an added storm window.
Yeah.
But we don't require people to put storms in.
Yeah, I'd honestly rather not. I'd rather the look of sure. But yeah, we'd have to do a lot more
this house than just that. This is a,
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, just the air around.
there's no insulation except put it in the back at that addition. So eventually, there's actually a guy in the neighborhood who was telling me he's investing in reuse jeans to insulation,
Yeah.
something. And I thought, all right, I can get a bunch of holes in the attic, and drop that in at some point. I got 2 floors that I can try to do it.
A lot of jeans, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of jeans. I did have a question on one of these elevations, though. I mean, you can see, if you go back to that last slide, this here, it's the only casement that looks like this, where it's basically one casement, 2 windows. And if you flip to the others, these would all stay the same. And
double hung.
Yeah, it's, well, yeah, double hung, but also use the original
Casing, yeah. It's good.
casing. Now, if there was some damage or something like that, Vince has been real good about it. Yeah, damage if they remove it, But if you flip to, not that, right there, that is the oddball.
Yeah, the trim is just, there's not.
Yeah, there's not. So my thought was to have him custom make a casement that would fit in there. I took the measurements and it's about right, like 5 inches on the side. On what would be the style side, I guess, for lack of a better term, and then I think it's about the same on the top.
They would make the windows smaller and retain this
I don't think I'd have to make
visible
them.
siding,
Yeah.
or you would put on top.
Put it on top. I wouldn't make the windows smaller. I think the windows, actually the clear glass, because you can see on these, and a lot of them are like this. I think it's the lower. Well, in some cases, the lower, these actually might be about the same, but in some cases, the lower styles come in further, so there's less visible glass.
Yeah.
On the bottom than on the top, or it might be vice versa, but, no, these should be same visible glass, top and bottom. Same size, maybe a little bit bigger visible glass if the rails and styles are clear. And then my thought is to have them put a casement, both on the 2 sides and then one double one in the middle there.
Okay, so the trim,
Yeah.
put that, the dimensions here,
Yep.
so about, like, what is that, 4 inches of trim along the top.
5.
And so it would be one, like, it would be shared casing around. everything.
Yeah, like the other side of the house.
Yeah. But, oh, so you mean like up this where it's one shared, like the middle?
Just curious.
Yeah.
You thought about going with lighted lights. Upper. It seems like for the age of the house, I'm not sure. So it's probably 1920s,
1911.
1911.
Yeah.
You're matching these existing windows on the second story, right?
I've got 3, I got 3 originals up there. That's my thought, was to match them. But if you think there's something else, I
Well,
mean,
I
they've
mean-
got lots of options.
Just seems for the age of the house. There's a change from 6/6 glass
Okay.
to 6/1 glass. And that was because sitting down, have those
Wide open.
wide open pieces blocking your view by the lights or sash. On that, the upper sash, if you're standing up, you're probably moving.
Mhm.
So obstructing the view of you. It's just a touch. I think one of, it's a transition. Fortunately, one of them.
Yeah.
So,
Just because
Uh,
at first, it would have been hard to blow glass that size, so
Yeah.
they made the panes smaller so that, and then as time passed, they were able to make the panes bigger and bigger. It would be hard for staff to recommend a 6/6 or 6/1 because we have no evidence. And so per the Secretary of Interior standards, that would be a conjectural change. So it would be tough for us to find it within a recommendation.
But
I see your,
unless I found a photo showed.
if you found a photo, yes.
Yeah.
But-
And we're in the middle of like doing research and history of the house. And I'm gonna be in touch with the previous owners here shortly, and there's one neighbor left on our street who's been there for years, so I can always ask them.
If you were interested.
Yeah.
Because I see, I mean, unless it was a Sears home, it'd be very hard to find out how many lights were in the windows of the machine.
Yeah.
And if it's pre-1911, they only started making Sears in 1908, so anything before that, it would have been custom for them.
6/1 comes in a little later than 19,
Okay,
20s.
okay,
30s.
so it very well may have been.
Might have been 6.
Oh,
I-
well, maybe 6.
Yeah, I imagine.
Because that big one on the head, we had a guy coming in. Saw that large window by the front door, and he almost lost his breath. It's the original. I think I spent that, no,
Oh, okay.
shoot. I mean, I can. But it's pretty, it's not operable, at least it's not operable anymore. That is one of the things we're gonna do with the 3 existing ones. Fix the pulleys. And
Okay.
get those operable again. One of them, I think, works, the other two. Not good.
Who's the contractor who's doing the work?
So Vince it's Done Right Construction. He did work for us previously. He's still gonna be our general. But he, I don't know how there was, company, he's going to contracts pretty much all over. And then I've shared pretty much everything as far as our grant, so contract on that. But I knew Vince is familiar, this process is familiar. So, not necessarily, but hopefully. And, yeah, trust him. I trust that part too.
So, commissioners, any concerns? Any thoughts about which agenda? you would like to-
No concern for me. I'll keep it on, I imagine.
And
Yeah.
I think consent, but if you find
Some
any
evidence.
evidence.
Yeah. Well,
I would, particularly the front elevation is
yeah,
street facade.
yeah.
Because
both
it
ends.
does look, just doesn't, to me, it just doesn't quite look like.
Yeah, let me see what I can find, and I'll ask Linda and Susan, those are the daughters of the previous owner, if they've got any evidence or memory.
Yeah.
I would also have to check how many Maywood homes have 6/6 or 6/1.
Hmm.
I don't, I mean, it's an extremely typical window type for that era, but I don't know that I remember. I can think of many Maywood homes. And that may just be because they've been around a long time and maybe in the 40s that we did their windows, once for one.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you have 3 original windows.
Yeah.
It feels unlikely that they were 6/6.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're original too. I mean, it's possible they were replaced.
Okay, well, so the consent agenda, as I mentioned to the previous applicant, is for the beginning of the meeting. And unless an item is pulled off consent agenda, it is not discussed.
Okay.
And so the commission just votes beginning en bloc on everything. And you would know then about your COA, and if not, it will be put on to discussion. And then staff will have written a recommendation underway, and we will present our recommendation and invite you, if you're present, to speak. If you're not present, then we can represent you.
Right. It's good.
Yes, at 6:30, again in this room, you can attend virtually or. And we will have, this is just the subcommittee, the HALRB, we will have the full committee,
Okay.
The commission, and Michael will be your commission liaison, because I am leaving the county and my last day is next.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Oh,
next
what's-
week. Well, yes, we are transitioning, so this is the official handover. We're gonna be lowering the flag later, it's gonna be a song. I will be heading to a research position at Montgomery County. So if you remember, John Liebert's was in my job.
Yeah.
He works there, so I'm gonna work for John. So I'm staying in the historic preservation family
Yeah.
in the DMV area, and then Michael will be taking over my job, just like I took over for Angelina when Angelina left, and Angelina took over for John. So
My sister's.
there you go. And so, yeah. I will let the rest of the, yes, Michael is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
And she,
congratulations.
but she is going to be now processing your COAs and inspecting. So she could be
Yeah,
legal
I think
eyes.
the acting role.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
until they get,
I-
yeah, until they get someone else in her role. So, Michael does inspections. She will be, as part of your COA, you need to enroll in inspections. So she will try to see the property. And so you will see her in her little car, actually meet her on site.
Part of what I do for the grant too is I'll be doing a lot of filming, shoots, podcasts. Yes, Instagram, so I figure out. Sounds okay. So, yeah. I did have two quick questions. One of the other things I suggested is, at least during construction, some signage, QR code. You can look at it. Street of the house. The former owner of the house was pretty instrumental, I guess, in protesting I-66 coming back in the 70s.
Yeah,
I
50s.
think they finished it. And he saved a lot of trees in the park, so I want to put that out there. There's also someone else who got a grant, I think, making a website.
Oh, the history of
The history.
Yes, so I'm gonna contact them and let them know, yeah, probably through Lauren, and see if we can get some synergy with that. But my question is, I'm willing to put something permanent there or permanent across the street in the park. So I think it's something they're talking about patients. Park there. And I looked at the requirements. Got a spit, it takes probably 6 months to get signed. Temporary signage would be okay.
So I don't quite, this would be a private sign. I
Yeah.
don't quite understand when you say put it in the park. So then it would be a DPR sign, it would be yours.
Well, that was, when we talked about with Lauren, she said. Private signage sitting on the property or just outside the property there. And then maybe it would be more appropriate to put something about the neighborhood in the park, which, yeah, that would be inside. But what we put together might be some content.
So we don't currently have any process. I mean, we have a process for approving markers, but they tend to be quite large. It kind of depends on the size that you're interested in. When they are historic preservation program funded signs, they tend to be in the right of way. If this was private, you would apply for a COA and put it on private property if that was something you wanted to keep permanently.
Right.
A temporary sign, there are some rules about temporary things. Mostly they're based on ramps, but we tend to consider anything over 6 months to be permanent.
Yeah, this wouldn't be the project. I think we're gonna actually start, we'll do the windows come down and then. I think it'll start after the first. And really, one of the reasons I'm trying to spend all this time up front, and not start the work right away. Part of it's availability of the guys, but once they get going, it's probably six-month project. Okay. I mean, there'll be some other things to do. They'll go. So,
Because the new windows are like days, but you mean the restoration?
yeah, the restoration of the porch. And, yeah. Still, it's not going to go all the way up, but the outreach to the community and some of the things that we want to highlight about the neighborhood. One of the things that learn about the neighborhood was there's a covenant that you could not sell to African Americans. And I didn't know that, so.
Was it in subdivision or near homes?
We didn't neighborhood.
In neighborhood,
Yeah.
not a subdivision.
Yeah. And I know little about it other than that it exists. So those are kind
And
of,
we have a fair amount of
okay.
something that has been looked at across the nation in terms of the way that it continues to reflect the demographics across the nation. And so there is a lot of information about that. We can check.
Yeah, okay.
So then a marker about the process, if you wanted something temporary that kind of changed as the information changes, it would be temporary.
Yeah.
Something long-term that was just about your home, you would have to discuss, I think, the best way to do that. It's also, you won't know what the information is that you want to tell until the project's over. You've had time to think about it, look at it, take the photos you want, and then output something. And then is it about the house? Is it about the process? Is it about trades? Is it about restoration?
A link to.
So right now for homes, the only thing we've really ever had is these like square or round plaques, which we haven't done in a very long time.
Okay.
We have been trying to think about a smaller option for homes that would allow us to distill the information and just have a few sentences so that the HLRB is moving massive markers, because our markers cost at least $1,500 going up to $2,200, $2,500. And so if we want to start communicating on a smaller scale, we want to find cheap components that are easier to produce faster. So we could certainly start talking to you about what that could look like, whether it's, but I don't, conversation about it being hard would have to be longer term. And I think at that point, we would want to do something about the entire.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, love the idea of education, certainly for people who are walking by to be like, hey, I've been thinking about restoring my windows.
Yeah, right, yeah. Okay, the word out. That's a good thing.
But if you wanted something temporary, you could do that.
Okay.
Knowing that it would come down.
Okay. Yeah, it is almost like a instruction.
So consign, that's, with more information. Yeah, that'd be great.
And then the other question was based on, walked in and saw the previous question about the, and I'm a little bit down the road from getting, because of putting together two cars, keep going. But we don't have a driveway, we have a long approach. So there is a small outlet by the lamp post out front.
In the public right of way?
No.
Or on your property?
On property, yeah, so I'm wondering, I mean, it would, obviously, we'd have to have ours out towards the street. So.
Your car would be parked on the
Our
street.
car would be parked right on the street.
So that is a zoning question, because I believe they're trying to develop rules for charging in the public right of way from private property, because you have to cross the public right of way, which then creates ADA accessibility issues for people who are in wheelchairs or walking, they trip over, and then who's liable. So I believe they're developing rules.
We have no side.
It's like straight yard curb.
Yeah.
Cars. And then
I don't
your
think-
lamppost is like right there.
Our lampposts, just, they're like railroad tie.
Right.
Curb,
Yeah.
So what's interesting about, I'm just talking, but, so I've actually read of a few historic districts which have considered putting public EV chargers into lampposts in communities so that they can integrate them into the community without shoving up big without tearing up the roads, to put in new
Yeah.
wiring.
You can let the city.
Yes.
That-
And turning
there's
those
one
into-
right on- right.
So I think there's a few complications in terms of the right to park there and then people parking for a long time.
Yeah,
But certainly it's something that we,
2737. There you go.
Well,
Yeah, that's John's, that's, yeah, that's.
okay, so you would be running it from there to there. You mean example, for example?
Yeah, now there's a city. Lamp goes right there, that, I
This,
think that's it.
I don't know if that shouldn't be a lamp post, that should be a, oh yeah, oh, it's also the lamp.
Yeah, it's both, yeah.
So, I mean, that was just a concept that I'd heard of. I don't know if they're
Okay.
planning to do it anytime soon, but in communities, really small communities like historic districts, it's gonna be very hard to find opportunities for EV charging. Because right now, we're really only seeing it in new development, in public garages, so just a thought. But, and the idea of putting it into an existing lamp is a good one.
Yeah.
I would just check with zoning first,
Okay.
and then.
Yeah. Would that be something that I'd have to submit here too? Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah, it would probably be just a question to zoning, but you would email them and say, hey, what is going on about this? And then it would be an electrical permit and there'd be a zoning permit, but COA first.
Yeah, because I want to test drive an electric Jeep and see how it feels. Then we'll be there.
Okay, well,
There's the window, by the way.
oh, yeah.
It's separate.
Okay, so
Alright.
you're on the consent agenda and she will. Um,
Thanks you for your time. Yeah.